from the Washington City paper,
Hey,
and
everyone.
David is the producer.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of that?
Very good. Very good.
Justin and Aaron are here. You don't have to be nice. Pretty chilling ending. It was the second time I've seen that since Tribeca, and it just absolutely chilling. So I just have a few questions. I'm going to open it up for you guys to ask questions. So how did you get attached to this project? I've actually known Justin. He tells this story as he was my production assistant for about 4 years in commercials. So as we were working together, I knew that he was always an aspiring writer-director. So I'd let him work on his screenplays when we didn't have anything better to do. And one day he came to me and said, "Hey, I saved up some money, and I'd really like to make this movie, and I need some help on it, so would you mind coming and helping me out?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. That sounds like a lot of fun." So one of the things I loved about this movie is how it blends humor. It's like a buddy drama, and it hits you. That fear hits you on a visceral level. It really blends a lot of genres. Is that something you guys are going for? Yeah, and I really wish that Justin and Aaron, they apologize for not being able to be here, but they explain it much better than I do. That was really something that they hit on really hard, and Justin and Aaron would approach every scene, and they said, if it was a funny scene, it's like, how can we make this the funniest that we can make this? And if it was a dramatic scene, it's how can we make this as dramatic as possible? And never really focusing on the genres, but really just trying to make it a really effective film. Awesome. So one last question I'm going to ask when I open it up to you guys to ask away. What I think worked so well about the movie is the location, the cabin, the area around. How did you guys find that? That is actually Justin's dad owns, I would say, 90% of the properties in that. And it was one of those things where like, oh, where can we go film this? We don't have any money. So, but no, Justin grew up, I guess, right around that, in that cabiny area, and his dad had started building that cabin that was shot at, and the county of San Diego said, hey, you can't build another property or you can't build another building on this piece of property, but I guess there's some loophole that if it was a film set, it was allowed. So we used that. It just worked out. It was literally perfect timing. Yeah, I'll say. Questions? Anyone have any questions? Not all at once, guys.
Yeah.
At one point during the film, it really reminded me of the Blair Witch Project, and I wasn't trying to think of it that way. It just came to me. So, is that an influence on you?
You know, they always say that they weren't influenced by any one specific movie. Justin and Aaron and myself are huge horror fans. So we like to watch a lot of films. There was a lot of different pieces, but definitely, you know, the found footage portion of the film was a huge influence. Yeah. Right over here.
Yeah, I like the way the actors interacted, especially Chris seemed so much at ease, very natural. And I wanted to know what we could tell us about the background of them.
Chris is Vinny Curran, who plays Chris, is wonderful, and so is Peter Silla, who plays Michael. They cast them in a commercial that they did a couple years ago. And the on-screen chemistry that the two of them showed in that commercial was so much so that Justin decided to write an entire script for him. What you saw there is exactly how they interact with each other every day. Every moment that they're together, that is exactly how it is. A lot of it goes into the rehearsal. That they put in, I think, 4 months of rehearsal before we actually went to shoot. Twice a week, they would get together either with Justin and Aaron or on their own, and they would run the entire script, going over motivation and scene direction and what they were really trying to pull from each scene. So a lot of that came down to a combination of the on-screen chemistry that they just had, as well as the preparation that they put in ahead of time. Anyone else? Yeah.
What was the first thing that came for the script or the idea of this? What was the first image or thought out of it?
You know, I think Justin knew that he had this cabin, and he knew that he wanted to use Pete and Vinny in this piece, and it was kind of, he sat down at his computer and kind of used the elements that he had and used the resources that he had to try to come up with the best script that he could. Most bang for the buck, I suppose.
It's quite a script. I mean, the way
Yeah, absolutely.
constructed.
I read it the first time, and I got through it, and I read it, and I had agreed to do the project before reading it, and then Justin said, no, you have to read it. And then I pretended that I read it, and said, no, that's great, I love it. And then I actually read it, and I was like, wow, this is really, really good. And then I read it again, and I was like, every time, this is, I think, now the 7th time I've seen it in the theater, and every time I pick up something new,
Yeah.
it's extremely layered.
Oh yeah, it was the second time I saw it, and you pick up on every lens flare in it is just hinting.
Yes.
You don't, the first time around, it's just you just think it's a style choice, but it's everything is building.
It's very calculated.
Yeah. So I beforehand I was thinking your IMDb profile. I saw that you've worked on a lot of bigger budget films. So I was curious as what the experience was like working on this one.
Well, let's by working on bigger budget films, you mean I stood on a street corner and made sure that people didn't walk in front of a shot. I wasn't necessarily working on them as much as I was a standing roadblock.
And IMDb credits and IMDb.
I suppose it is. This was a lot more fun. We had 9 people on our crew, and then about 5 or 6 at any point in our cast, and so it was extremely intimate. We were all staying at a place called Camp Oliver, which is this tiny little children's camp, and it was off season, so we were staying in twin bunk beds. It was extremely bonding, and it was a lot of fun. I couldn't have asked for. As a producer, it's my job to make sure that we stay under budget, on time, everybody, the morale is high. And that was never anything that we had to worry about. We were flying through things. Everybody was extremely good at what they did and extremely fun to work with. And it was just a really, really positive experience.
Awesome. Any other questions?
How long did it take to shoot?
Principal photography was 17 days. There was some of the stuff was, I don't know if you guys noticed, everything in there is practical. Justin and Aaron shot on 8mm. We actually transferred footage over to videotape. So everything in there, some of it was done ahead of time. That was probably another 5 days. But the principal photography was 17 days.
There's a lot to think about in that movie. I'm still not sure what's going on.
I've seen it 7 times, and I still don't know what's going on.
But you like it.
Yes, I did.
Exactly.
I thought it was
Time well
interesting.
spent.
I thought it was interesting the parallel between the one character who was addicted to meth or crack or whatever, and then he comes along and he starts getting addicted to all this stuff that he keeps finding. I just thought that was real.
the switch, which happens about halfway through, where you're like, wow, Chris is actually the sane one in this entire situation. Really is. It's fun to watch that happen on screen.
Okay, so I kind of started to notice all the little film effects going together towards the gradual reveal at the end. My one question is, in some of the darker shots, there's a slight digital grain to it. Was that an intentional effect?
Oh, you would have to ask Aaron. But if you tweet at him, I guarantee you he will respond. If you find him on Twitter, we're extremely active in making sure that we answer all the questions. But that would be directly, I would ask Aaron. But I'm going to say yes.
2 questions. 2 things I didn't understand necessarily. The one was the girl at the window. Do you know if there's any relevance to her other than being just creepy?
No, I'll answer them one at a time. Everything throughout the thing is a red herring. It's essentially the magician's trick of showing you one thing while you're doing something else. So every one of those is meant to lead you down a path which don't actually go at all.
It could have been a bunch of different kind of horror subgenres.
Correct.
Oh, cool.
Correct.
The other thing was when he was with the French guy, the dog's owner, and he left, he said something about thanks for the aspirin, and he just kind of was like, aspirin? And what was that?
That was the 2 little aspirin that are on his cup, and he takes them. So you're
was that just the way he was kind of said aspirin? I thought maybe it was something else, or
that is left up for your interpretation.
Okay, so it kind of made me think, and I wasn't sure what it meant.
Any other questions?
Oh, that's my mom.
That's
God, I wish we had an. We have 3 scripts that are currently being shopped around. So hopefully one of them finds the right financier, and we can go make another one and keep going, because we really enjoy working with each other.
What was the budget on this one?
Under $1 million, officially.
Tiny for movies, yeah.
Crowdsourcing is not. I mean, I've done it on some of my shorter projects, but for a feature, it's difficult to get to the level that, like, obviously this one was not a huge budget. The next one that we want to do, the next 3 are all at different budget points, but we're obviously trying to grow from doing the micro into something with a little bit more meat behind it.
What's the release strategy for your film?
We are doing a limited theatrical with a day and date VOD, which will happen, I hear, early second quarter of 2013. But I don't think that Tribeca has announced an official release date.
Anyone else?
So did you burn down that house at the end?
No, that's all visual effects. That is, yeah, no, we didn't actually burn down the. No, Aaron and Justin are true filmmakers. They've been doing do-it-yourself filmmaking for a long time, and each of them brings a whole lot of different backgrounds. But the visual effects is Aaron, and he is really, really talented at it. We didn't shoot the guy in the head either. That was also. We actually didn't break the windows of the car. That was because we don't have the budget for that.
Right.
And shooting actors is apparently illegal.
But anyone else? Yep.
Yes, Mom.
I'm surprised that nobody asked the one question that everybody asked in New York.
Which one's that?
What was the question they asked Minnie?
I don't remember.
How many F-bombs did you throw out?
I counted them this time. It's a lot. We broke 200.
You gotta have a ticker at the bottom for next screenings. Just keeps track of all
Yeah,
that.
maybe I'll have Justin and Aaron stand up front and just run a little counter, some kind of Vanna White counter or something like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, the next projects you're working on now, are you guys going to try to stay in the horror genre, or are you trying to branch out a little bit?
Justin and Aaron want to continue. They're not turning down anything, but they do really enjoy what I guess is being called elevated genre films, where it's the horror films, but it's not just your typical 4 teens go into a woods and you don't care about it. It's like, there's you want to care a little bit about the characters, and that's important to them. So
Crossing genres.
yeah.
And just
genre bending is a word that we keep hearing a lot, which
it's going to be a new genre bending.
yeah, genre bending is it's its own blockbuster. Well, it would be its own blockbuster category of blockbusters. Anybody else? Bueller?
I think that about wraps it up. So
Guys, thank you so much for coming out.
thank
Really,
you.
really appreciate it.
Please stick around. We've got a midnight double feature of President Wolfman and Manborg. So, do not miss that.